Good afternoon and good to see you all after lunch. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging. Thank you very much. Good to see you all in the second spell of mine in the capacity. I think he had an engagement. Nonetheless, we will try our best that you do not miss his presence, because I'm sure his thoughts in all that we have discussed together will be got to the forefront. The topic for this panel is investing in technologies that enhance employee experience, the role of CXOs. The panel actually comprises a business head. The panel comprises an L&D head, HR head who also has held L&D roles, and Emmy, if he was there, he's been with TMTC. He's a director on board with various companies. So we try and make it meaningful for you. That said, would you just want to try using the two hands that you've been gifted to welcome yourself, if not the panel? Give it up for yourselves. Thank you. No, that just tells me that everybody is awake here. Okay, so this panel is going to discuss certain aspects that CXOs need to enable the HR and L&D leaders. And my questions are going to be steering clear of HR and L&D. I'm going to be looking at employee experience management as a business problem, and therefore how can CFOs and business leaders enable the employee experience. So Krishna, I'm going to come to you first. So we know that organizations struggle with integrating HR technologies into their existing legacy systems, right? And we know this because a lot of transformation is happening in the tech space as well. Now, as a CFO, as a business head, how do you think do you manage the business risks and the hidden costs that perhaps this interface would lead to?
Question. But first I just want to tell you importance of, I think this panel discussion, the topic, the CXO, role of CXO on any transformation is like, I think we all know the story of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So CXO need to take now role of really Shiva, the Chief Destruction Officer, in order to make sure that I think whatever transformation we do is implemented and that change happens seamlessly. So now coming back to your question, whenever there is a transformation change or a digital implementation happen, there are risks. It's a big change management. So risk is definitely there. So there are two type of, I think in a very, very crude, simple, from a business perspective, I had a GCC and an India business for a telecom. So high level, two type of risk I see. One is technology, which is, I think, is matured and not a very, very big risk. Now you can do many things. Technology is maturing. So risk is more of understanding the transformation and making sure the complexity of the transformation. Technology is very easy, but people perspective, driving that change is the most important. I think risk is there. Many things can go right, wrong, but the typical, what I have seen in my last 15-20 years of experience is the transformation timeline is 4 months, but it is delivered in 1 year or 2 years, and still it is not getting the right kind of return on investment. So those type of, I think, hidden cost, if 4 months goes to 1 year, 2 year, 5 months, the executive time, the friction between different teams in adoption. So I think that is a very, very important and big real cost is always there. I think 60-70% cases of the project, those are there. But how to mitigate, I think, is the most important thing that we need to learn. the most important, I think, couple of factors I see. The CXO engagement, if that is directly proportionate to the success. If you spend more time, you are engaged, you walk the talk, you spend little more time in that change transformation, I think the biggest important factor is that drives the success of that project, and all hidden cost will be minimum.
No, very well said, Krishna. The perhaps the delay in many cases is because of the change in specs and scope, because of intervention of multiple stakeholders who come in at the wrong time because of being busy in other things. And I'm sure Rishi is there, and I will segue into this discussion, Rishi, with you also. If and I say this because perhaps I was reading that still many CXOs infer that HR tech is HR's problem. Engagement tech is HR's problem. I am a stakeholder, but I will come in only in the true spirit of Shiva as a destructor, not to construct it collaboratively. And I think if that is taken care of, in my experience, perhaps this aspect of the risk of delay or the aspect of the risk of rescoping what has already been scoped and documented could be mitigated. Rishi, you as a L&D leader in a large organization, do you have an example to cite or a use case where perhaps CXO alignment has led to mitigating these risks, or the other way around? I mean, you can pick up any example of your past organization. We will not ask you to name that.
Yeah, good, very good question. And
Generally, my question will be good, most likely.
Yeah, अच्छे बंदे हो यार आप. So this is a problem of every organization. Let me share with you. I mean, very good strategies are made in boardroom, right? So great big fours come and present it, and the influential CXOs get influenced, and they buy the product, and without any design thinking. So basic problem lies with design thinking. We have to see whether the buyer of the decision maker of the technology buyer and the user of the technology, are they aligned or not? That is very, very important. I'll give you a very crude example. You know, in pharmaceutical companies, they buy iPads. iPads, why they buy? Basically to see whether the doctor's engagement is happening or not. Right? We call it visual aid in our lingo. So there are about 20 pages and dynamic pages. So if he's a doctor, I'm discussing with him the product, my mode of action, my side effects, my indications, my knockover points. And at the back end, the marketing team is saying, we're tracking it. Okay, page number 3, this is maximum used by the reps in the doctor's engagement. Now, they are making those analytics based on that. But the smart aleck, the rep, what he does, he will sit in the reception area and he flip the pages. Where the analytics going over there? So that is where we have to see whether the user of the technology is first sold before the CXO buys the product. So it is very, very important whether you are buying Salesforce.com, Viva, or any .com, we have to see the user buyer. And I always emphasize that use the concepts of design thinking and use all the stakeholders, including customer also. That will help you implement better. That is where the execution excellence gap lies. In healthcare industry, the strategies are same. In even technology companies, strategies are same. It is the execution excellence which makes a difference.
Fantastic. You know, I never knew that while this panel is on, the specs will change for us. From 55, we are straight away seeing 20 minutes. I don't know where the 30 has gone. Maybe there's some programming happening from 4 panelists. From 4, we are 3. So we're also mitigating risk as we move on. But Rishi, picking up from what you said, by the way, I also want to give a disclaimer that whatever Rishi quoted as some companies, we have no relation with those companies.
No company.
We're absolutely, you know, we just came for the session. We just had lunch. We have no relation with any company. So it's all purely coincidental. That's on the lighter side. Rishi, you made a very important point, design thinking. But there's a very big missing piece, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to highlight to you. When we invest in technology for employee experience, my question to the panel and then to the audience will be, is the user, the employee, involved in that decision-making process? Most of the time, and no, my question is a little more deeper. And therefore, when the employee is not involved, first of all, is the employee involved or not? And most likely, I know not, because it's a decision taken in the boardroom or in a executive council meeting, and then the decision is then forced down. I may say with sugar, the decision is percolated down, and then the decision is that implement. And then comes the challenge of, oh, did we need this, or it was a golf course or a golf decision or whatever. And then, therefore, do you think that employees or a certain segment should be involved in the power to select the platforms and the tools that they want? Ultimately, the user decides what they want, or is it a boardroom discussion? So I'll get to Krishna, you first, because I'm sure you're in the boardroom. We are also, but I think we'll go to the business head first. Do you think it's important, or will it create confusion and chaos?
So I think to answer your first question, 70-80% cases, decisions are taken in the boardroom.
We are a very honest panel, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Krishna. We are a very honest panel. We agree to where we go wrong, by the way, right?
Yeah.
But that's where we get from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. We're not learning. Go ahead, Krishna.
Yeah, so I think, and then maybe I can give example of one of the organization I worked. They created so many tools. Obviously, intent was always good. So many tools and processes and all. It created an ecosystem of 1,000 tools for a organization. It's a huge organization. But all came because of that top-down approach, that we have a problem and we need to solve, and let's appoint a consultant and let's do select the best of the best tool and all that. But I think we missed the most important part is the end user who will going to work on it. But now I think things are really changing. So I think in many organizations, the average age is also changing. Especially I am from a tech and all that. You have so many young talent. They are becoming a mentor for you to help you understand, because their speed, their engagement is different. So there is no option other than to engage them in the decision making, in the selection process, which I think is now that 70-80% is started changing. Means how much is that as of now is very difficult to kind of comprehend. But other thing is, I think I want to give you one maybe a good practice in one of the organization. Everything is driven by community culture. So if you want to invest into something, innovation tool or anything and everything is driven by community culture, and community is formed of people who are passionate, and then that's where I think best of the best thing comes. It's not because of hierarchy or a CXO or a functional head deciding. So those organizations, I have seen a very good success rate and faster, quicker decision. The adoption is faster. So I think things are changing to a certain extent.
Why? I think that's beautiful. A community of interest, which I think can then correlate to what Rishi you said about design thinking, and therefore when I'm involved in the process, I will definitely use and adopt. That said, I wanted to understand that how did you, and I presume that you would have done it in your company, that how did you change the mindset of the CXOs that we need to involve the user, or we need to involve the community of interest or practice? Because this hitherto remains a boardroom discussion. Getting it from where it should be to where actually it is now, how has been the transition? Any insight that the colleagues here can take? Rishi and you both. I mean,
I can share.
You've also done something similar.
I can share.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. I can share a best practice over here. Of course, in my previous organizations also, currently also, we are doing the same thing. That any campaign, typically we say any campaign, we do a campaigns from the marketing point of view. We are rolling it out. We call the stakeholders from the various fields, marketing, sales, and other aspects, and we call them and we run the campaign to them first. We get their feedback because they are the ones who are on the ground. So we get the feedback whether this campaign is going to run successfully or not run. Give what is happening in the marketplace. So that is a best practice. If a person follows the system can definitely be more successful than the decisions made in the boardroom accordingly. So that is where we need to focus on the process whether you call it design thinking or large scale interactive process or whatever you call it.
Yeah. I think couple of things we can influence or do, not just CXO and taking decisions and then driving it, but if there are small things, if we start that many projects they get delayed, they get unsuccessful, overrun, cost overrun. But if we engage the real user and analyze the why that failure happened, I think that introspection can help. And then that failure will come only from the users, the end users, not from the managers who will prepare fancy presentations and all. So those type of mindset we need to have, that end user is directly discussing the old thought process and then coming up with a new ways of working. Then I think one important thing we need to also think is CXOs or even managers, they digitally immerse themselves into the on ground, on field, the frontline people, they experience what they do. If they start doing, I think they will empower them more and then they will engage them more. So I think very common sense, simple things, I think if we implement, maybe things will change fast.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a CXO here who is actually willing for people to participate and co-create. I have a CHRO, CLO who's also saying and promoting the fact that people should be involved and co-create. And I'm sure back in our offices, there are people who are also willing to support this. Then where is the break? Where is the gap?
Can I say?
Yeah, please. It's
The
for us
gap
to say.
comes in the culture of the organization.
The gap comes in the culture. And could you just kindly elaborate a little on that?
Maybe some CXO, not to. So maybe some CXO or the senior leadership has taken a call and the culture is not open. So middle management, they always try to take the side. Yes, sir, very good, sir. The problem is not with our decision. Decision lies with the execution. So there has to be, the senior leadership should be open to receive the feedback and create a system of open feedback accordingly.
I think that they go hand in hand, by the way. Seeking feedback and seeking feedback for the sake of seeking feedback are two different things.
Yeah, it should not be tick
So
mark
I
activity.
want you to give me feedback because I want you to say what I want to hear, just like I want you to clap for us in the end. It's a different feedback. But whether you want to clap for us or not in the end is depending on the discussion that we'll have here. So, right, Krishna, what do you say?
No, I think what I just want to compliment him. I think if we
You both are in a complimenting game here. You're leaving me out.
no, so I think if we change our, I think if we change from our time in pleasing our bosses from 50% to 30% to 20%, I think this whole drastic change will going to happen. It's just a compliment what he just said.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I think this is one of the most important learnings. Co-creation will happen only when we want to involve, when we want to hear the actual, the factual on-ground realities. Second, as you rightly said, if our culture promotes the bottoms-up approach and we actually seek feedback and we have the ability and the courage to say perhaps we went wrong and then take corrective action and don't take it as an ego issue. And thirdly, I think you mentioned, Krishna, that when you immerse yourselves, sometimes what happens is at the levels that leaders are, they perhaps don't have time or maybe attention span of getting immersed, and therefore the decision is quick and fast. And last but not the least, I think the aspect of even the middle managers and the so-called fleet on street giving the right feedback. I'm going to come into a question which I think is on the minds of many of the colleagues here. I understand there was a mentalist session. I think I was in another meeting there, so I could not attend it. But if that's what I understand, that you could read your mind, and I want to read your mind and say, are we, first of all, mapping and reporting and seeing the right matrix of success for HR technology? Are we still in the rudimentary adoption, usage kind of matrix? And I would like to understand from you, Krishna, also that what would you want your CHRO and CLO to present to you? Or have we moved a notch up and are we looking at the actual impact? I don't want to use the word ROI for a reason, and that's because I think technology is first ROE, return on expectations, and then I think then goes the ROI on investment. So, do you think HR is reporting, first of all, is HR collating and reporting the right metrics that you want to see as a CXO? Or are we still in that, login and, usage and first time adoption and repeat users kind of thing? What is the scenario that you have?
No, I think for I have experienced a drastic change and a big transformation in the way things are now reporting.
Okay,
So
okay.
I want to give you a few very simple examples which correlate to our tech business. And for us, the most important thing is in a knowledge industry, your skills, your cost of your solution, or how efficient you are, because now India is a tech world's tech capital, tech talent industry, and become very, very competitive. So for me, just to give a how the dashboard helps and evolve over a period. So for me, half a year of average age of my organization create a huge impact on my P&L. So HR started that our average age is say 32. If we become 31 average age, my P&L will increase by 5-6 million euro. Being a European
How
company.
can age be reversed?
Yeah, so age
They will
cannot
only
be
grow older.
reversed, but for in order to sell any product and services, you need to be competitive.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
got it. So, therefore, are they then tracking engagement? The reason that we are here in this panel?
Yes. So they are. I'm just giving you a simple, not directly related to engagement, but here the tracking, the dashboard, and all is transformed. So they are giving me a number that if we hire more talent, more fresh graduate, if we tie up with 20 more colleges, if we get them in third year of their also help them billable more and obviously engage them more, it create a big impact on your business.
And that means they are talking your language now.
Yeah. So
They are
business
talking.
outcome.
They are talking business outcome.
Yeah.
Whether it's age or engagement or whatever, they are talking outcome that you want to understand.
Yes.
And they're not talking the metrics that they want to show or we want to show in terms of pure adoption, pure usage. Love that point.
And other aspects are also evolving, like traditional our engagement and not just net promoter score, but employee net promoter scores, and those elements are also coming, which are giving a very direct. But I think for me, those are given things. Those needs to be there. Your engagement score needs to be very, very high. Happy employee, happy customer. But also more important is the business outcome, top line, in even EBITDA, how much we are directly contributing because of HR.
I'm so glad to hear this. I'm so glad to hear this, that a CXO's happiness, goes, and I can see it on your face that when HR talks your language, you actually want to hear it. And supposedly we come with our basic level data. Rishi, in your organization and your career, how have you seen reporting of data change, specifically with the onset of technology like AI, etc.? Have you seen a transition, and do you see the same smile that Krishna is giving us on your CXO?
Let me give you an industry perspective.
Please.
Okay. In fact, with the advent of technology, the reporting of various points, whether it is headcount, attrition, performance attrition, hypo attrition, so all those aspects, learning and development scores, or maybe connected to the performance. So correlation there are multiple things have come up. And today, I think there are hundreds and hundreds of agencies which are ready to provide all those aspects accordingly. But most importantly, again, I emphasized in my previous panel also, that it is the imperative for the CHRO and the CXO, what is the purpose of this analytics? If the purpose is clear, the purpose that why is bigger, how is smaller then? So that is very, very important, that what kind of analytics, the way Krishna mentioned, I want these analytics which are going to impact my bottom line, my top line accordingly, then it makes sense to have those. Otherwise, there are hundreds and hundreds of analytics which are available accordingly.
It's a very important point. A lot of times the platforms, ladies and gentlemen, have a lot of ability to provide data. Perhaps it's on to us as to how do we juice it, and then how do we feed it to the leadership? I'm going to now change track. I'm going to get into something which perhaps is also, in the realms of discussions nowadays. We know that HR tools, platforms can track productivity to the last minute. And therefore, there's a situation between the aspect of surveillance versus engagement. Because if I can track your productivity at the last minute, I can, there's facial recognition, I can sense your mood, what is on your mind, there's NLP of how you're writing your mails, etc. And therefore, there are early warning signals. How do we manage this fine line between productivity, engagement, and so-called surveillance in the era of privacy? Your views?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult question. We are trying, means we are not there. We are experimenting, and we are little bold in experimenting certain things. So earlier our tracking was more of self-declaration. This is my timesheet and this is my productivity and all. Then we changed that to if particular role, that role needs to benchmark, that role needs to spend 3 hours on email, 2 hours and all. Yes. So agent can help us in giving that by default timesheet that he has spent or she has spent this much time. And in that team, whoever is the most productive and least productive, I think you can analyze the data and all that. So I think that we are experimenting right now. Also, I think, but there are huge challenges. Obviously, then name and shame happens and all that. So we are in the mid of that journey of, but automation and digital reflection will going to drastically change our productivity model. But we are not there. We want to be there, but the huge resistance is there from all the angle.
So there is resistance, and you agree that there is a issue of, productivity engagement versus surveillance. Rishi, your views?
I have a little different take on this. Frankly speaking, there should be systems and processes to track the engagement, but it should not be controlling an employee. For example, I mentioned in my previous panel also that, there are tools like geotagging for the employee. This is an ethical consideration from the HR perspective or from the Salesforce perspective. As an employee, I would not like me to be tracked where I am. Of course, from the productivity point of view, there are something, but then we have to create systems and processes in such manner that there is a transparency in the system, and you can always track the productivity through the numbers accordingly and the processes accordingly.
Agree. Yeah, please.
And I think your second point is on the capturing your mood and all, which also we experimented, but it is not giving that kind of it's a simple tool we implemented. Whoever in cafeteria comes in, it captures, and then it gives you a perceived stress, and then you confirm whether that stress is real or not, and then it combines the AI stress level versus your own perception, and then give a simple report. But it is not giving a kind of, it's maybe 50-60% accurate as of now. So this needs to further evolve and then see how it
Just can I take a minute on this?
All yours, sir.
In fact,
This
just
LED
reminded
doesn't
me
bite,
of an
I told you earlier,
incident
doesn't happen.
wherein one of the agencies came to showcase this mood, my facial recognition. So it was able to recognize many of the people in the room, in the conference hall. When I came there, it said constipated. I said, what happened this? So I said, what is this? He said, because of your beard, it could not see it. So this facial recognition is a challenge.
While the two of these gentlemen were talking about facial expression and happiness, I was thinking if any matrimonial site was to implement this before marriage, after marriage, facial expressions, what will be the ROI? We'll talk about that separately. I'm now going to segue into a discussion on how do you choose a tech platform for HR. Rishi, I'll start with you, HR, L&D. What are the 2 or 3 important aspects that you consider? Because there are a whole lot of them. There are as many of them as perhaps were not even there in the buffet today at lunch. How do you choose the most appropriate? And then I will come to you, Krishna, that as a CXO, how do you look at it? And I think that will be when the LED will come and hit out of us. Go ahead.
Yeah. In fact, there are so many tech platforms. It is like, without naming the company, we are getting so many prank calls.
We have
of the
no
finance,
royalty. We don't take any royalty.
Dash Finance, which Sunita Williams also getting a call these days. So tech platforms are dime a dozen, and lot of them are there. Sometimes you get confused. ये लूँ क्या वो लूँ, ऐसा ना हो कि ये ले लूँ तो बाद में better tech आ जाएगा. So it is important that we have a strategic meeting at the same time. What my company requires it, and what are my pain areas. My pain areas are different compared to his pain areas. So what I require, I decide upon what is the thing which is required. At the same time, I'll also like to mention, which I mentioned earlier also, that the companies who have very good systems in place, there the tech implementation is much easier to implement. But if the company is not having system in place, there they will always have a problem area. So I should be very clear what I want, what the purpose of the tech which I want. Do I want only attendance? Do I want only attrition? Do I want a reporting part only? Or do I want recruitment also? For example, we have tied up with some organization which is on recruitment in AI, using AI. So turnaround time of the recruitment is better. At the same time, the quality of hire is much better. But we are still testing it out.
To be honest, I was not that deeply engaged into tech.
No worries.
HR
As a
platform,
leader, how would you?
What I will look at is faster execution.
Okay,
fast-
execution. All right.
Faster adoption. And Miss, we recently implemented maybe one relevant example of a reward recognition platform. And ours was very old. For many years it continued, and this new platform came in, and then it opened up so many opportunities that even a self-nomination is possible, even voting is possible, even many things are possible, and then that whole reward recognition program got transformed in just a small tech, very faster execution, and then it created a big impact. So from my perspective, I think faster execution and then more engagement, faster adoption.
Super. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think it was a pleasure interacting with all of you along with the panel. You've been so nice. You haven't clapped through the day for us. You'll have to do it now. Thank you very much. Thanks, Business World, for having us here.